Welcome to this episode where we're going to be talking about 3 types of content for you to create to get your audience wet. Yes, I said it. I took it there. We went there. If you're new around here, I'm Sarah, and I don't say the things that you might think I might say. If you're like, what? Okay, what I mean by this, I'd hope that you kind of know what I mean, but to put this in business context, what I mean is getting your audience hot, spicy, excited, ready for the main event. Because whatever it is that you're selling, whether it's high ticket packages, whether you've got an upcoming launch, you've got a new program coming out, your audience needs to be hot in order for that next thing to land or land as good as it could. So this is really your primer. Hence why I said, get your audience wet, because if you just skip to the main event, honey, and you haven't done the right warm-up, it's a no from me. Goodness, we're getting right into it. So yes, we're going to get into the 3 types of content to create for your foreplay. But let me just bring it back a second before we go into specific content types, because this is super important. You should be building a hot audience all year round. So this isn't something that you should be prioritizing in the run up to your launch. Yes, of course, do it then as well. But you should be doing this every day, every week, every month, every year. And so if you're noticing that your audience aren't that responsive, or your DMs are a little bit dry, or you're just not really getting a lot back from your audience, that's a signifier that they're not quite as warm and ready as you think that they are, or you would like them to be. And so what that's going to mean is that when you come to either sell your offers or bring something new out, or be like, hey guys, I've got this thing, and you're ready to sell your offer out, they're like, yeah, cool, but what is this? Like, they're just not ready. So if your audience aren't hot and wet, your launch or your new product, your new class, your new high ticket offer, whatever it is, or even reselling a past product, is likely to fall a little bit short of where you're expecting it to land. And we don't want that. So this is all about prepping you for success, prepping you for scaling. And so this is something that I want you to be practicing and implementing all year through. So it's really important you have this hot audience. So remember foreplay, guys. You cannot be skipping the foreplay. People want to be warmed up before you ask them to marry them, okay? So what do I mean by foreplay? How do you actually do this? You do this by creating really bingeable content. If you've got content that is so bingeable that your existing audience can't wait to buy from you because they're like, oh, she just gets me. I love her vibe. She is just my cup of tea. Like, I'm just in her world. There's nobody else for me. And also new people who are coming to your page straight away are binging your content, and they're just seeing everything that feels like it was custom made for them. They're going to stick around, and also their buying cycle is going to be a lot shorter than if you're just creating middle of the road content and they're like, yeah, cool, but let me stick around and just suss this person out for a little bit longer. That's the difference between having really bingeable content versus just either filler content or content that's not that specific, and people are like, yeah, it's of interest, but I'm going to keep shopping around for somebody else until they land on someone else's page who does have bingeable content, and they're like, oh my God, I love it. So how do you take yourself from person A with lukewarm content to person B with really bingeable content? Let's get into that before we even talk about actual types of content to create. So, lesson in bingeable content. Bingeable content is when it is really custom built for your ideal client. And this is why it's so important to never skip the basics, because your ideal client, doesn't matter whether you're just starting out, whether you're at 5K months, 10K months, 15, 20, regardless, your profile of your ideal client should be very specific, because the more specific the profile is that you're speaking to, the more tailored your content can be. And that's what makes bingeable content. It's tailored, it's specific, it's goal orientated to the goals that your ideal client has. Let me say that again. It's getting to know your ideal client on a real specific profile, so that then you can create content that really speaks to their goals, their selfish desires, their ego. They'll have the front end goal that's publicly acceptable. And then there's the goal behind that is their selfish wants, their selfish needs. Maybe this is things that they haven't shared with people. This is also your sign to get on more market research. So people will have these things that they really want for themselves that like pleases their ego. It's based on what they want, drives them. It's a motivator. And so the more you can create content on that, your messaging is just going to pop off. So making bingeable content is basing your content around your ideal clients' goals and desires. For example, if I was to create content that was just, here's how to lose weight, if I was a fitness coach, where like that's fine, but it's so like meh, yeah, it's educational. I can tell that I'm going to learn something, maybe, but it's so lukewarm. Like, I don't even know if I'd stop for a content like that, even if my goal was to lose weight. Whereas if a content piece said, here's how to drop 10 pounds in the next 2 weeks so that you can fit into your size 10 little black dress in time for the office party, Christmas party, I would binge that. I'd probably binge that even if I wasn't trying to lose weight, to be honest, because it's clear, it tells me what outcome I'm going to get. And it's less about the losing weight per se. It's more about the outcome of how I'm going to feel wearing that little black dress at the office Christmas party. So you can see why it's speaking more to goals and desires and that selfish wants and needs. It's less about here's how to drop 10 pounds, although that is, because we got a number in there, that is bingeable content because it gives me a clear metric. But it's more about how I'm going to feel when I'm strutting through. It's created that vision of walking through the office party in your size 10 little black dress, eyes on you, feeling incredible. So it's selling a feeling rather than just an outcome. So yeah, that's very bingeable content. So I'm just wrapping that back up. Base it on either your ideal client's goals, desires, or selfish wants or needs, and give that specificity, like how are they going to feel after they've had this thing? Or on the flip side, the other way to make it bingeable, because people aren't just motivated by what they want to happen, that pull towards pleasure and desire, they're also really actively motivated in the opposite direction, in the avoidance of pain. People, and by the way, this has actually been proven, I don't know what the study is, but it's been proven that people are more responsive to avoiding pain than they are to chasing pleasure. So if you've got a post that's like, here's how to achieve X versus here's how to stop doing X, or here's how to, if you're experiencing this result, here's why that's happening, and it's about pain points, that post is going to land more because people don't want to stay in struggle. They want to avoid pain. So when we're talking about bingeable content, you can either have it on the positive side of here's how you're going to experience more pleasure, or on the opposite side of here's how to avoid the current pain, struggle, or challenge that you're experiencing. So it can be on the negative side. If you're making someone problem aware of why they're stuck where they are, what's happening, what the challenge is. So make it bingeable. That bingeability. So those three factors were either pleasure, avoiding pain, and bringing in some numbers and metrics. That makes it really, really bingeable. People want to know specifically what are they going to get, or what are they going to avoid, and how soon is it going to happen. Okay, let's get into the actual types of content to create to get your audience wet. All right, number one is leadership content. This can span a few different types. So you might have leadership style educational content. You might have leadership style opinion pieces. Then it can go over lives. It can go into carousels. It can go into reels. This is a type of content that could span multiple formats. But what I mean when I say leadership content is a clearly elevated perspective. This isn't just your normal, here's 5 steps to help you achieve X. Like, that's good, yes. But leaders are the ones that aren't afraid to step away from the pack and either say or do or express opinions that the majority aren't saying. And this is what separates people that have got clear industry experience. And so if this is you, talking to you, you need to show what you know. If you're pissed off that other people are getting results that you're not getting, or that you're just like, why is Becky with the good hair getting that and like, I know this, or I've done this, or I bring this to the table. Okay, honey boo, but show that. If people aren't yet buying into you at the frequency that you expected them to, it's because we're not seeing you as a leader yet. So a leader is someone that is super confident in what they bring to the table. They're not looking around. They're not, falling into comparison, looking at what anybody else is doing. They are super, super confident staying in their own lane. They're very self-assured. Yeah, they're not questioning themselves, second guessing themselves. They're not stopping their own moves. They're clearing where they're going and they're talking about that. A leader is not just someone that's saying, I'm the no-brainer choice, I'm an authority in the industry. Like, they're actually showing that. Anybody can say, oh, here's how I became an industry leader. But there's nothing other than their own words to say that they are. Whereas, again, this is maybe a little bit hard to grasp because there's nothing, there's no certification that's going to be like, boom, you're an industry leader now. No one's coming to give you a medal. But you can tell from landing on someone's profile from a 3-second glance who is a clear authority. And it doesn't matter about the size of someone's following. It matters about the presence that they have. So this will go across, again, all different areas. This is how you're coming across your confidence, your self-assuredness, your thought leadership. And so thought leadership is you talking about not just your own thoughts, which we'll come on to in a second, but the direction of the market, the direction of your industry, what people are saying and what that looks like for the future. And this is what I mean. You can easily set yourself apart as a thought leader when you've got that elevated opinion, whereas people with less experience or earlier in their journey wouldn't be able to have that sort of opinion because they just haven't had enough experience or been in the industry long enough to be able to talk about the direction of the industry and have that as a qualified opinion. So this is for my girls who either you've got years of experience doing what you're doing, even if it was from a different field or a different job role. You need to be bringing in the actual breadth and depth of your expertise through leadership content. Leaders aren't afraid of failure. They're not afraid of going first. They're not afraid of judgment. They are happy to speak about their experience, your years dedicated to your craft, your lessons learned, both the wins and the losses. Let me say that again. Because if you're only talking about your wins and everything you did well, like, yeah, awesome. But leaders aren't afraid of either talking about their vulnerabilities, talking about their challenges, talking about milestones that they overcame to get to where they are now. Leaders know that it's not a straight road to success, and they will openly talk about the journey. This is what separates the people who just say that they're an authority whilst it doesn't quite land, versus the people who are owning their story, being vulnerable, sharing the good with the bad, and you can see the elevated status from their content. Keep in mind that this is important because people, especially your ideal clients, don't want beginners or people who lack a surety. They want to come to your profile, or when they're looking for someone to invest in or a service provider or a coach, they're looking to find someone to solve their problem. You don't want to go to someone that doesn't have a lot of experience or is just trying to fake it till you make it. You want someone who knows what the hell they're doing. They want experts. So show your expertise. Imagine if you rocked up to a mechanic and they were just telling you that they could do these things, but there was no actual evidence that you were not sure if your car was going to get fixed, and yet the mechanic next door had got clear content, clear industry expertise, either certificates on the wall or something that said he'd been around for a while. You could tell that this person knew what the hell they were doing. There was a queue out the door, testimonials easy to find. Again, this mechanic, this is a little bit different because he's not exactly creating leadership content, but the point is you can tell when someone brings the goods versus is just saying they bring the goods. So leadership content. And my last point on here is, yes, be bringing through some of your opinions, your vision about either where you are going, your clients are going, or the industry is going as a whole. Because again, it takes a leader to have that kind of vision. But What I will say is if you're creating content that is a little bit more either opinionated, it's a little bit more call out in nature, it's a little bit more, we've been dropping the ball as an industry, here's where things need to rise. That needs to be the little delicate balance, but it needs to be serious in tone, of course, but leadership content is not hot-headed, angry, and reactive. You can tell when someone's posting just a hot-headed, angry, this has happened and I need to talk about it, this isn't good enough, versus someone who's saying, this isn't good enough, here's why it's not good enough, here's what we are going to do about it. And you can tell from the language that's being used and how it's being put across the difference between leadership content and just reactive, triggered content. So be mindful not to just be super reactive and want to get your voice out there for the sake of being seen as someone who's willing to speak her voice, versus someone that is calling people to rise because either people have been falling short or the industry is falling short and it's been slept on, not just screaming in the moment. And it's not got that hot-headed, angry feeling about it. So yeah. Some examples of this might be, a lot of people are saying X, I disagree, and Y. Here's why. It might be other coaches would advise you to do X. I wouldn't. Here's why I say that, or here's why I do that, or here's my method. It might be either that something that's being done regularly or something that isn't being done regularly that should be being done regularly. It's something that you've noticed, whether it's a trend or questions that people are asking you or people that are coming to you in a certain situation after working with others in your industry. Again, whatever, either red flags you're noticing, create content on it, but just make sure it's not hot-headed and it's coming from an elevated position showing your years of experience. Okay, so that number one was leadership content. We're positioning you away from the rest of the crowd and really getting people notice you so that they're like, okay, I'm in the presence of someone who really knows her stuff, and at the end of the day, my investment is safe with this person. So, number two is client results. Oh my God, this is the easiest way to get your audience wet. If all you did was post client results, that would be fine. Of course, we're going to bring in more variety and just have all these different angles on your grid. But if all you did was client results, client results, client results, client results, people would be like, how do I get a piece of this action? People want to get in with things that are working. I've said it before, if you see two restaurants and one's got a queue out the door and one is completely empty, even if it meant that you could save time, would you want to go to the one that is empty? I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, no. You're going to want to join the queue, even if it means you have to wait longer, because your presumption is that you're going to get a better experience. Like the fact that there's a queue is the proof, in inverted commas, of quality. Or it's the assumption of quality anyway. So when you're sharing your client results and this person did this person did this, we worked together for 2 weeks and here's what happened. This person's been working with me 6 months. Here's how she's grown over time. Here's how this person's launch went. She posted this type of content and got 5 inquiries. Whatever it is for your industry. This is your time to humble brag. In fact, not even humble, because fuck being humble. I hate. I don't know if you know anything about me, but humble and me are just not even in the same ballpark. I do not want you to be humble. I want you to shout what you do well from the freaking rooftops. Because if you're not going to do it, ain't nobody. Shout what you do well from the rooftops so that everybody who is passing your page, I nearly sang that, everybody. Anybody and everybody who is passing your page, even if it's only for a second, in your top 9 posts, they can find some client results that you've recently had or some recent feedback or testimonial where people are singing your praises, saying how incredible it was to work with you, sharing their experience, sharing their results. That stuff will sell your services, your coaching, your offers more than anything else. Like, You putting your sales messaging across is one thing. Your clients doing it for you is like sales messaging XXL. It's like the gold dust, the unicorn, the glitter fairy. The magical unicorn in the corner. Like, bring out your client results and do not be shy. Do not hide them away. Like, sprinkle that shit like glitter. All right? Get a glitter party of client results on your feed and watch magic happen. Yeah? This is what's going to get your audience hot, heavy, and ready to go. This episode. If I listen to this back, I'm going to be chuckling to myself. I don't listen to my episodes back, but anyway. So we've got leadership content, get to have that elevated presence. We've got client results, loud and proud. P.S. Share these everywhere. Like, get your clients on lives, post content about your client results, share it on your stories, whether it's like conversations that are happening, recent wins that are happening inside your world. We shouldn't have to like search for this information. Your client results should be very easy to find. And if they're not, this is your sign to go work on that. This is your sign, honey boo. If you haven't got client results or not as many as you'd like, you might be, this is a little factor that you need to clean up. Yeah? As a business owner, we need to take radical responsibility. If you're not getting as many client results as you want, it's time to double down on your client experience, your level of service to your clients. Like, be getting incredible results. If you're getting feedback that says, oh my God, working with Claire changed my life. Oh my God, I only worked with Becky for 2 weeks. Oh my God, I only worked with Samantha for an hour and here's what happened. Like, how much, if you're looking at that as the viewer, think how much that's going to pull you in. You'll be like, what? That was possible in an hour? What? And you'll want a piece of that action. This is what makes bingeable content. You with me? So client results, get it loud and proud on your grid everywhere. Things like, here's how my client achieved X. My client did this in this amount of time. Here's how we did it. My client came to me in this position. She left in this position. You know, you could do before and after. Just let us know what happened and either what that looked like, the transformation, what your client is experiencing now. You know, what does her day-to-day look like now? Is that in terms of her business, her mindset, her health, her love life? What things are happening in her day that were not happening before she worked with you? Yeah? Awesome. So we got client results. That's number 2. And then lastly, for some real get your audience hot and wet and excited is what I like to call, oh, she went there content. Otherwise known as your spicy, your disruptive, your controversial content. So this is where you're going to really bring some opinion pieces through. Because people, there'll be 1,000, 100,000, God knows how many people who do what you do, depending on how saturated your industry is. And so when we're thinking about what's really going to stand you out and build your audience and people who are bought into you, not just your service, we need to bring some more opinion pieces out there. And so in order to bring some opinion pieces and have it actually stand out, you need to go the distance. Go the extra mile. If there's something either in your industry that you don't agree with, in your client's industry that you don't agree with, like, speak on it. Let us know what your opinion is. So many people will just sit in the middle of the road and it's so boring. So you need to get yourself out of the masses. This is what's helped me build a brand with a relatively small audience is I actively get away from the crowd. And this is why I don't need a massive audience. People know who I am on multiple different platforms because they're just like, oh yeah, that's Sarah. So what would that look like for you? You know, oh, that's Sam. Oh, that's Becky. That's Sally. What does that content look like for you? Yeah? You got to be willing to be spicy, disruptive, go against the grain, say what other people either won't say or don't have the confidence to say because they're staying in their comfort zone. Yeah, I took it there. There we go. We're squeezing some in right here. The reason that Twitter, I mean, I'm not on Twitter, but the reason Twitter was so popular before Elon took it over, lol. The reason that Twitter was so popular is because it was about drama. People love drama. No, I'm not saying it's just shit stir for the sake of it. But what I am saying is that when you bring your true opinion forwards, it's going to really call your people forwards and actively put off the people who aren't for you. Good. We want that. So bring your people forward by really stating what your piece is. This is the stuff that's going to get you a lot of comments. It might not be a lot of saves because it's not, real valuable educational content. But this, when you voice your opinions unapologetically, people will be like, yes, queen. People love it. Because again, so many people don't say what they think. So say what you think. People don't just want generic value. They want to hear your opinions, your spicy take on the world. Like, what's BS that you see in your industry? Call it out. What's things that you see your peers doing that you don't agree with? Call it out. Like, give us your real, honest, unfiltered thoughts. So wrapping all of that up, we've got how to make your content actually bingeable. And then 3 types of content to create that are going to make your audience be like, oh my God. And I want to see this on the grid. Yeah, this should be long lasting because this is really bingeable content. Yes, be pulling pieces of this out into your stories and into your, shorter form content. But I want to see this in your posted content that's living on the grid that people can get access to. And just when they've landed on your profile, imagine they've got your top 9 posts. If there's something on there that is, they've got client results, they've got your spicy opinion, then there's a leadership piece that clearly sets you apart from everybody else. That person is going to be like, they might have only read 3 posts and they're like, oh shit, I need to stick around here. Oh God, let me follow this person. Let me go binge her stories. Then they get to your stories, they see more behind the scenes and that you're selling an offer that's just for them. And then they're seeing results. And then they go inquire. This is how you move someone from having just landed on your page through to then inquiring, through to then buying in a short space of time. It's creating content like this. All right, queen. So we got leadership content, client results, and oh, she went there, spicy content. Yes, queen. Now, if you're someone that's just like, oh, how do I do this? I want to do it for me, or I've been trying it, but it's just not landing. Honey. It will really, really help you to have someone's eyes who knows what they're doing on your business to be able to see the gaps that you can't see. And content is my jam. I'm really good at helping you to say your words in a more coherent message. So that's what often I work with my clients, and they give me their Canva links, ask for feedback on their content, is that sometimes you're saying like the right topics, but it's not as bingeable as it could be. It's not reaching through the screen and grabbing your ideal client by the balls and being like, hey, you need to stick around and look at this. That is what your content should be doing. So if you don't feel like your content and every single piece is reaching through the screen to your ideal client that is going to be scrolling through the grid, scrolling through their newsfeed, looking at God knows how many hundreds of thousands of pieces of content in a single day, your content needs to reach through and grab them by the balls, okay? So if it's not, this is a sign. This is how you get people into your world. Your content needs to be bingeable, and this is what then is going to give you a hot AF audience. So if you feel like that isn't happening yet, the doors to my signature program, Sold Out Sales Academy, are opening soon. This is my 3-month group sales accelerator to take you from this stressed out position of just posting content and it's not being either seen or responded to. You're doing the motions, but you're trickling through either 2, 3, 4K months. It's there. You've got some business built. You're signing some clients some of the time, but it's just not groundbreaking. It's not where you thought that it would be. You know that you've got more to bring to the table. And so inside Sold Out Sales Academy, I help you to build not just momentum within the business by creating content that bangs, but also understanding the sales psychology behind creating content that bangs, so that then you can increase momentum. You can build this hot and spicy audience that just get super excited anytime that you drop new offers. then you can use that consistency, use that momentum to bring out your one-to-many offer, whether that's your program, your course, and scale your business past 5K a month and be on your way to 6 figures. So super excited to bring this signature program back for the 5th time. The waitlist is actually open now. So if you go to the description underneath here, you can sign up to the waitlist to get the only chance to be on early bird pricing when the doors open. So if you've got any questions at all, send me a message on Insta and I'll drop the waitlist link below. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the share button or give me a like. Is it a like? A rating? If you're on Spotify, give us a little star. If you're listening on Apple, I'd love if you could leave a rating. That'd be incredible. Or share this to your social media. Sarah Buckland Coaching, all one word. Tag me so that I can reshare it. I love when you share my podcast and I'm like, woo! Fangirling for my own podcast, but I love seeing you guys share it, get value, and just enjoy these episodes. So thank you very much, Queen. I shall see you inside the next episode.